Welcome, and thank you for joining this virtual event. Kindly please note, this live broadcast is being recorded. Please ensure that you have the correct audio output or device selected to hear the speakers and presenters. We encourage you to please submit all your topic-related questions to the speakers using the questions and answers function on the Zoom control panel located at the bottom of your Zoom window. If you do experience any technical difficulties, please feel free to let us know using the chat function on the Zoom control panel. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, and welcome to everyone. I'm Liesel Meyer, and I'm part of the Oxford team. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to dial into our webinar today. If you're in this webinar, you've most likely received a visit from one of our sales consultants during September. In our recent visit, we promoted our DHET-approved Information Processing N6 Student Book and Lecturer Guide. That now finally concludes the full series of approved titles for information processing in 4, in 5, and in 6. Before we get into today's webinar, I would like to first tell you a little bit about us, Oxford University Press. We are an award-winning educational publisher with over 100 years of publishing experience. Oxford, as we are more commonly known as, publishes for all educational sectors, including schools, higher education, and of course, DHET. We recognize the power of education to uplift and equip individuals, and we are deeply rooted and committed to changing lives through education. We strive to develop and deliver high quality and affordable educational materials to learners, students, teachers, and lecturers. Oxford University Press South Africa is South Africa's #1 dictionary and literature publisher. We publish more than 2,700 books in 11 official home languages. Our books are well researched, and we pride ourselves in the delivery of high service standards. One of the most anticipated changes within the TVET arena is the updated syllabi in key subject areas. We, as Oxford University Press, welcomes these changes as it speaks to our core mission, transforming lives through education. There's a renewed focus from the government towards TVET institutions and the upskilling of young people and preparing our youth to enter the workplace confidently. Also, to have graduates that processes the 21st century skills required in the workplace. You, as lecturers, well, you play a critical part in the delivery of these new skills to our youth. You stand at the front line of the education system, and it's our privilege to guide you through these changes. We understand that these changes and shifts, as we respond to the demand of the fourth industrial revolution, can cause uncertainty. But just by choosing to attend this webinar, you've taken the first step in responding to these changes. Our main aim with this webinar is to take you by the hand and carefully go through the changes of the curriculum. We will guide you on best practice for teaching and what the changes means to you and your students practically. I'll now be handing over to our information processing expert, Sharita Singh. She's an experienced TVET lecturer for NATED and NCV. She's an assessor, a moderator, and workplace experience officer with more than 7 years worth of experience in the TVET sector. We hope that you will have a renewed outlook on this subject as we look forward to a very engaging virtual workshop. We encourage you to please raise your questions using the Zoom Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Without any further ado, I hand you over to our expert, Sharita Singh.
Good day, colleagues. Thank you for joining me today for the Succeed in Information Processing N5 and N6 revised syllabus presentation. I would like to thank Oxford University Press and Liesl Meyer for giving me this opportunity to present some of the exciting new changes in the new syllabus for N5 and N6, as well as some of the topics and modules that have been made easier. First, we're going to look at some background information for the need to improve the syllabus. Before the compilation of the new syllabus, the Department of Higher Education and Training undertook a research survey amongst all the colleges that offer information processing from introductory level to exit level at N6 throughout the country. The research survey revealed that the content of the new syllabus, of the old syllabus compared to the new syllabus requirements, was actually still very relevant to the current needs of industry. So while there were not many changes to the modules, the layout of the content, the instructions to lecturers, and the instructions to students remained the same. The first meeting to present the research findings was held in February 2018 at Tshwane South TVET College. The team discovered that some of the content in the syllabus was outdated, but the documents were still relevant. So an addendum with some of the changes is attached to every single new syllabus from introductory N4 to N6 level. The compilation of the new N5 syllabus was rewritten to accommodate challenge faced by students while learning the subjects. One of the major challenges is the typing speed. Students do not reach the speed of 40 to 45 words per minute. Lecturers were struggling to get students to reach the speed. Colleges were working with different versions of Microsoft Word. Instructions in the old syllabus were not clear enough to guide lecturers to teaching students. So in the new syllabus, we have instructions relating clearly and specifically to Microsoft Word. Sections such as financial statements and tabular statements may be attempted in Microsoft Excel. In fact, the department has advised us to include instructions for basic Microsoft Excel in all Oxford textbooks. The general aims of the original syllabus are still maintained in the new syllabus. Some of the aims are to improve the keying in and processing skills of students to ensure that they can cope in industry. So we're looking at teaching students to type accurately while following instructions, and also keying in documents according to what industry requires. For example, the formats of business letters, the formats of memoranda, the formats of notices and agendas of meeting. To polish and hone the acquired skills of the student to a level of near excellence, which an employer would pursue in his or her search of the perfect personal assistant. It is for this reason that accuracy is stressed in all the information processing syllabi. For typing technique, accuracy covers 80% of the marks. The specific aims of the syllabus for typing technique is to develop keyboarding skills in students in order to prepare them to attain keying in excellence. For N5, the typing speed is 40 to 45 words per minute. For audio transcription, the aim is to introduce students to audio transcription hardware and software to enable them to use this functionally in all activities while studying audio transcription, to make students proficient in providing accurate documents with the aid of transcription hardware and software. So what's better in the new syllabus? As I've mentioned, there are clear instructions for the lecturer on learning content and learning outcomes. There are clear instructions on which versions of Microsoft Word to use. While this may seem like a simple and straightforward instruction, we find that with different versions of Microsoft Word, there are fonts that differ. Although these are minor changes, it assists the student greatly when they are preparing a document. For example, you may find a font will appear in Microsoft Word 2010 version, and the font is no longer available in Microsoft Word 2016 version. So this may seem like something very minor to a lecturer, but to a student sitting in the final exam, this can cause great panic. We have standardized proofreader signs attached as addendum C in the approved syllabus to be used in the classroom. This means that proofreader signs remain the same whether you are learning in a college in Cape Province or whether you are learning in a college in KwaZulu-Natal. We found that proofreader signs tended to change over the years. For example, the insert word sign. We had many different versions of the symbol of the proofreader signs that were used. Across the different textbooks, we also had different variations of the sign, and it made it difficult for a student to understand what they actually needed to do in the activity. The new syllabus clearly indicates which sections form part of audio transcription. This is very important to lecturers currently. In previous exam papers, we had sections such as tabular statements, which were incredibly difficult for students to attempt from the beginning of the question to the end of the question. So with the new syllabus guidelines, we have sections that should be included, and a section such as tabular statement would form a very minor part of that question. Documents which would normally be dictated to a secretary required transcription are clearly indicated in the new syllabus. Audio transcription is a sore point for many lecturers and students. We find that students and lecturers, the minute they hear the word audio transcription, it induces a panic attack. So with the new syllabus, the subjects are laid out, the modules are laid out quite clearly. And as we can see, paragraphs, business letters, speeches and lectures, notices of meeting and agenda, and minutes of meetings are quite easy to cope with, since these sections are taught in communication from introductory level. The weightings for the typing technique modules in the revised syllabus have not changed much. The weightings are clearly indicated in the new syllabus, as well as in the Succeed in Information Processing Lecturer's Guide. The weightings for audio transcription modules in the revised syllabus are also clearly indicated. Initial instruction carries just 8% of the total weighting. Initial instruction in audio transcription would include the spoken instructions to the students. For example, for typing technique, we indicate the proofreader signs by typing them out. In audio transcriptions, we dictate the proofreader signs. The nature of the examination paper remains the same. The paper is still 3 hours long. Typing technique carries 200 marks. Word processing and audio transcription carries 100 marks, and the total marks for the paper is still 300 marks. So what's better in Succeed in Information Processing N5 from Oxford? Each module in the textbook is aligned to the syllabus. So the textbook is written according to the layout of the DHET syllabus. When a lecturer is drawing up a lesson plan, there is no need to assume that module 3, for example, in the textbook is module 1 in the syllabus. We have aligned it exactly according to the syllabus. The lecturer's guide is also aligned to the syllabus. The lecturer's guide features a lesson plan, making it easier for the lecturer to draw up lesson plans on a day-to-day basis, also on a week-to-week basis, and for the entire semester. Instructions in the textbook to students are written using appropriate language to prevent confusion in the final exams. We have not made up any instructions. We have not tried to be special or different or fancy. We've followed DHET guidelines from start to finish. All power break activities have mark and time allocations. All power break activities progress from easy to exam style questions. Answers are provided on a CD and in a printed lecturer's guide. The reason for the CD is for lecturers to project the completed activity to students in the classroom. Each module in the textbook is aligned to the syllabus. Instructions in the textbook to students are written using appropriate language to prevent confusion in the final exams. We have worked closely with DHET to get our language in the textbook right. Instructions for Microsoft Excel 2016, making it easier for both lecturer and student to learn and understand spreadsheets. This is specifically for tabular statements and financial statements. Exam style instructions are given for each power break activity. The student book and accompanying lecturer guide are numbered according to the syllabus, making it easier for lecturers and students to keep track of progress. The pre-populated lecturer's guide is an essential tool for lecturers for lesson planning. So classroom requirements such as Microsoft Word 2016, a projector, a computer, the necessary hardware, software, textbooks are all pre-printed for the lecturer. There is no need for a lecturer to write all the information or to type it in. It is pre-populated in the lecturer's guide. The lecturer only needs to fill in the date of completion for each activity. The Succeed in Information Processing N5 is DHET approved. Okay, that ends the N5 syllabus presentation. We now move on to Succeed in Information Processing N6. The N6 syllabus followed the same process as the N5 for the revision. The general aims of the original syllabus remain the same in the new syllabus. It's basically the same as the content that was covered in N5. We focus on improving a student's keying in and processing skills. So we place great emphasis on accuracy and typing according to instruction. The N6 level prepares students for the workplace. This is the exit level. The specific aims compared to the original syllabus remain the same in the new syllabus. The students' typing speed increases from 40 to 45 words per minute in N5 to 50 to 55 words per minute in N6. The specific aims encourage students to follow a systematic and sensible approach to deal with challenging assignments. So this means that students are required to draw on knowledge gained from introductory information processing N4 up until information processing N6. We encourage students to answer questions using a method that they are familiar with. So all the skills that they have acquired, they can now use to answer their questions. There is no set way to say that this answer is right or this answer is wrong. For example, with advanced display work, students may use columns, they may use tabular statements, they may use text boxes, they may also use Microsoft Excel to answer the question. To enable students to acquire and master the necessary techniques, skills, and efficiency so that challenging work is produced at a high speed. Once again, we encourage students to use methods that they are most comfortable with so that it makes it easier to achieve the speed required by industry. To prepare students for tasks related to a personal assistant, the know-how, skills, knowledge, and techniques required for more advanced work than the content prescribed on N5 level. The Succeed in Information Processing N6 textbook features power break activities that require students to collect documents and recreate them in the classroom. For example, advanced display work, students may be required to collect an example of an advert using different columns or tables, different types of layout, and they may then recreate this in the classroom to see how accurately they can reproduce the documents. To develop and promote in students a logical way of thinking and the ability to transfer basic principles in new situations instead of relying on preconceived ideas. So we encourage students to be more hands-on in information processing N6. As I mentioned earlier, we encourage students to answer power break activities using a method that they are most familiar with, instead of instructing students to use a method such as answer this question using tables. Word processing. To further improve the knowledge and skills acquired by students at the N4 level and to enable them to use these functionally at an increased tempo and at a more advanced level. To provide students with a much higher proficiency level in the production of typing assignments at a preset processing speed, which is far higher than that required on the N4 or N5 level. In word processing N6, the weighting of the marks changes from 80% now focuses on producing the document accurately, while 20% of the marks is allocated for accuracy. What's better in the N6 syllabus? Again, we have clear instructions for the lecturer on learning content and learning outcomes. So we eliminate guesswork. Clear instructions on which Microsoft Word versions to use, standardized proofreader signs attached as addendum C in the approved syllabus to be used in the classroom. Word processing replaces audio transcription. In N5, students study audio transcription. In N6, they study word processing, which was introduced at introductory level and also studied in information processing N4. Modules which should be taught for exam purposes, specifically for word processing, which is section B in the exam paper. Mail merge. This is linked to different modules such as business letters, letters of promotion, circular letters, and memoranda. Initial instructions and proofreading signs, this remains the same as addendum C in the syllabus. Business letters, circulars, and letters of promotion, display work and itineraries, financial statements, tabular statements, and paragraphs in an African language. The weightings for typing technique have remained more or less the same. Compared to the original syllabus, we now have guidelines for the hours per section compared to previously where we were given hours per week. The weightings for word processing modules are more or less the same. And the nature of the examination paper remains the same. The paper is still 3 hours. Section A, typing technique, carries 200 marks. Section B, word processing, carries 100 marks. The total of the exam paper is 300 marks. What's better in Succeed in Information Processing N6 from Oxford? Each module in the textbook is aligned to the syllabus. Instructions in the textbook to students are written using appropriate language to prevent confusion in the final exams. All power break activities have mark and time allocations. So students can time themselves, and they can also work out if they have reached a level that they are comfortable with. And if they are ready, they can also work out if they are ready for the final exam. All power break activities progress from easy to exam style questions. This is one of the most important features in our Succeeding Information Processing textbooks. We find that sometimes examples can be too long when it comes to teaching students how to answer a question. So easier examples allow for a lecturer to go through the examples at least twice during a lesson using the projector. Answers are provided on a CD and in a printed lecturer's guide, and each module in the textbook is aligned to the syllabus. Again, we encourage students to answer tabular statements and financial statements using Microsoft Excel 2016. And our N6 lecturer's guide also has pre-populated sections, making it much easier for the lecturer to complete details for lesson planning. Succeed in Information Processing N6 is also DHET-approved. That brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharita Singh, for a very insightful presentation on the revised curriculum. I am Itumeleng Moremi, a proud member of the Oxford University Press, and I will be co-facilitating the segment with Yolandi Pham. She's a lead publisher at Oxford University Press. We will be looking at the key features in our Succeed in student book and lecture guides, and we will be directly addressing the changes as well as easing the lecturer's responsibility on planning and presentation of lesson materials that is well aligned to the student activities, and also to make sure that we assist and prepare the students for the internal exams as well as their national examinations. Now, Yolandi will be looking at the features of the Oxford Succeeding series. And after that, we are urging you to keep on posting your questions using the question and answers at the bottom of your screen, making sure that we directly have access to the questions, and also making sure that we address all the questions that you have for us. Please keep on posting those questions in your question and answers function box. And without further ado, I'm now handing over to Yolandi to address the Succeed in features. Yolandi.
Thank you very much, Itumeleng, and thank you very much to Liesl and to Sharita for the explanations that they gave. I think Sharita went in quite a lot of detail about the changes in the syllabus. So what I'd like to do with you today is just talk a little bit more about how we've taken the changes in the syllabus and incorporated into the learning material. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Just a sec. Just want to go to the right view here. I hope you can see it all. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about our quality assurance process at Oxford, how we looked at creating the learning material, how we've taken what the DHET have said in terms of the syllabus, and how we've implemented that in the learning material that you can expect from us. So we use a quality assurance model called LARP. So that we can make sure that what's on our digital platforms and what in our books really speak to the requirements that you have as a lecturer and as a student. So one of the key features that we have is language support. We understand that most of the students that you have in the classes are second or even third language speakers of English. And so terminology can be quite problematic as we go through. So what we've done is we've put in quite a lot of definitions and key terms And also, even though we're known as dictionary people, not used dictionary definitions, but used really easy words to explain the terminology that students need to use. But understanding what's on the page is also not always about the words that you use, but also what the page is laid out as. So you'll find also that there's quite a big use of tables, graphs, images, bullet points. So really trying to break up big chunks of text so that it's easily understandable for students. And in most cases, we have a glossary at the end as well. So in addition to that, part of the language support is a starting point. So even though Sharita said, you know, we have the learning objectives at the start of every module, we know that students don't always read learning objectives, something I think that the lecturers tend to do. So what we've put in is a starting point, which is really a story for the students to read that connects what they're going to be learning about next to a relatable person or story that they might come across in their lives. In this example, for example, we've got Connie who goes to a computer store and wants to buy a computer, and just what are the things that you look at. So it's not very it's not as heavily theoretical, but it just connects what's going to happen next. There are some examples there of some of the diagrams and images we use. Not all students have seen a desktop computer, know what all the different parts of a mouse is. So making use of imagery to explain what's happening is also very important in any learning material that you have. So activities also always very, very important. So we have two types of activities and assessments. So one is power break activities and exercises, and they are in the modules. So as you work through the content, there'll be activities and exercises. Some of it is individual work, some of it's group work. It can be assigned as homework. So depending on the level of your class and how quickly you're working through, you can decide which of the power break activities you would like to use or skip. So there's an example for you of a power break activity that we have. So very clearly explained what are the different steps, how long the activity will take. Again, using imagery to assist. Then we have more formal assessments as well. So at the end of every module, you have an assessment that has mark allocations connected to it. So those assessments are more closely linked to what students can expect in an exam. So while the power break activities are for practice, these are more formal assessments. And as Sharita mentioned as well, there's a progression in the assessment. So you start with easy and it's progressively more difficult as you work through them. So in our lecturer guide, then you'll find rubrics, marking guidelines, and suggested responses for all of that assessments in the textbook. So there's an example for you of an assessment. So you'll see there the mark allocation is indicated for you. It's a combination of short questions, longer questions, depending on what the module covers. And then also, as Sharita mentioned, you'll find a data disk where there are folders for every single module. And inside the module, you have a soft copy of all of the assessments, as well as PowerPoint slides that you can use as front of class. Some lecturers also find the PowerPoints useful as revision for when they are prepping students for an exam. So in terms of this exam that you are now preparing for, the national exam is really going to be a first for all of us. I mean, it's the first time that the syllabus has changed and has been examined. So when we worked with the DHET on getting the books approved, we worked quite closely with them to go, well, what is the expectation of the exam? are the assessments labeled correctly according to what you're expecting students to be able to do at the end of this? So we worked quite closely, and the assessments match what will be asked in the exam. As we go forward, we have an online learning platform as well, where we will load past exam papers and add some additional content there as the new syllabus is introduced. So you'll see there, this is an example of what the assessment looks like in the book. Here are your modules, which are the same as the textbook. And then inside the module, you have your assessment answers, your power breaks, and your PowerPoints, like I mentioned before. So one of the big concerns that the lecturers have voiced to us is, we're unfamiliar with exactly what has changed. What do I need to do in order to update my lesson plans? How do I need to adapt what I've been doing maybe for quite a bit to respond to this new syllabus? So in our lecturer guide, we have a printed lecturer guide, and then we also have it available electronically for you on the Learning Zone. We have teaching and lesson plan tables. Sharita also showed you an example of that, where we've mapped, these are the new outcomes. This is where we've assessed it, and this is what you need in your classroom in order to relay that content. We've also included some teaching suggestions. So how do you now share this content with your students? And again, the PowerPoint presentations with modules to YouTube links. The PowerPoint presentations are also editable. So no need to throw away the PowerPoint slides maybe that you've created before. You can use what we've done and merge it with things that have worked in your classroom before. So they're just an example for you. You have your module outline, your different units. What are your learning objectives that come from the new syllabus? Where is it assessed? What resources you use? You can use that last column to populate your start and finish dates. And here are examples of your teaching suggestions, as well as additional resources that you might need. So just going back a little bit to the book. So as we've mentioned, you have module openers. It comes from the syllabus. You've got your key terms. So what are those important words that students need to know? Remember that it's defined again as you work through the module in the definition boxes. Your theory segments and self-guided explanations are included. So you'll see there, step-by-step explanations of what students need to do. You can see they're breaking up the content into bullet points so students can easily follow. A lot of screenshots just to help students navigate. We have used mostly Office 365 for our screenshots. It will be a requirement going forward that you use the 2 latest versions of Word and Excel. This is true also for the computer practice subjects. So moving towards what they'll actually be using in the workplace is quite important. Then at the end of module, we have a revisiting the learning objectives checkbox, which we have found is quite useful. So students can go there and go, okay, am I able to do these different steps? If not, I have to go back, I need to revise it. It's very useful to use in class as well. You can project it onto your board and work through that with the students. And then just a reminder that we have the entire range of books for information processing. So from introductory information processing all the way to N6, all of the books include a CD. So on the N5 book, for example, your audio files will all be on the CD as well as your PowerPoints. All of the books have been submitted, have been approved. So you can rest assured that it meets the standards. And then just quickly, our people that you can contact. So Asif, who's also on the line today, is our TVET publisher. His details are there for you if you have some technical questions. And then also our consultants in the different areas. If you haven't received a sample copy, or if you would like to receive a sample copy that you can work through, please do contact them. And that is it from me, really. I think we'll go back to Itu now for any questions.
Thank you very much, Yolandi. It seems very interesting, and thank you very much for your presentation. We at Oxford, we are extremely proud of the impact that our learning material is making in our institutions. Colleagues, remember, we are still waiting for questions that should come through so that we are able to answer all those questions. Yolandi, I've got 3 questions at this stage. The first one, it says, what are some of the additional contents that you will load and by when?
The additional content. So as the exams come out, we'll load some of the latest past exam papers. I think to some extent you can use some of the most recent ones, but just be aware that, especially the proofreading signs, you need to make sure of that. We'll load some additional assessments probably in the next 3 to 4 months, as we just double check what's happening in the exams. And yeah, we'll keep you updated. So when you prescribe our books, you get access to the Learning Zone for free, and our additional content is there. So we'll update that, so you'll get notifications of that.
Thank you very much, Yolandi. Colleagues, please note, you prescribe an Oxford book, you get free access to our Learning Zone, where now you'll be able to get all additional content that you are looking for, and with all the slides, with all the presentations, the soft copy of your study guide, lecture guide. So you are more than free to prescribe an Oxy book. Right, you've got the second question, Yolandi, for you. Is it possible for Oxford to help lecturers with previous question papers as well as marking guidelines? I was tempted to respond to that one, but let me give it to you.
So yeah, we will be loading some past exam papers on the Learning Zone. The DHET have also recently updated their website, where they've really been loading a lot of the past exam questions. So we can supply you with a link to that as well. Yeah, I think what's the second part of that question? Sorry. No, just the exam.
That's all. It's only previous question papers and marking guidelines.
Yeah. Oh, so for the marking guidelines, really look at the new syllabus. They've really updated that section quite a lot to help lecturers look at how they should be marking assessments and power breaks. So I would recommend that you get hold of the syllabus. If you don't have it yet, it is on the DHET website. We're not allowed to distribute it because it's their official document, but we can definitely share the link with you where you can go have a look at it. It's also printed in our lecturer guide. So we've taken it from the syllabus and put the marking guidelines in there. So of all the changes in the syllabus, I think that's probably where you need to concentrate on it. So really have a look there on what the requirements now are for the marking guidelines.
Beautiful, Yolandi. Also, colleagues, when you look at our lecture guides, you will see that we have shown the mark allocations as well. So please feel free so that you know how marks are allocated, so that it becomes a consistent thing. Marking in classroom is the same as marking at national examination centers. So please get yourself that lecture guide.
So also in our memos, So also in our memos, they show you exactly what the document should look like when the students have done it properly. So like Sharita mentioned, if you do have a projector in your class, it's useful to go to those memos and project them in front as a front of class resource, and then go through it with the students.
Great. Let me go to the third question, Yolandi. It's very interesting. Please let them come in. Colleagues, we are waiting for those questions. Do we provide any how-to videos on assisting students with these learning materials they can use, and where can we get it?
So at the moment, we don't have any, but we are working on it. So again, probably in the next 6 months, no, probably a little bit less, probably 3 to 4 months, we'll have them up on the Learning Zone.
Great, thank you. I've got another question. I've seen it on the chat box from Mr. Gonya, but we have already responded to the question, which was addressing the issue of the marking guidelines and the previous question papers. That one has been addressed. We've got Patience Nechitangani. She has also given us a question, and she's asking, when using Excel for the financial statements and or tabular statements, where can we find the superscript and the footnote?
I'd have to look at the book in detail to kind of see where exactly it is. That's a bit of a technical one for today. Is that in 6 we do tabular statements and then, so maybe if you can just pop my email address or email Asif, our TVET publisher, with that question, and we can go into the book and look at exactly where we cover it.
Great. Yolandi, it's very interesting questions are coming in, and sorry for you, but I think
they're
you are
very
sharpened.
technical. I'll try and answer the very technical ones, or I'll send it to the author. I'll have some time to look at the book.
Right, the next question goes, I saw the new total marks of 400. So I want to know what it's been added, because I don't see any change. In a nutshell, she wants to know, where does the 400 come from on the N5 information process?
Again, I'll have to ask our author just to explain that a little bit more. From what I understand is the biggest change really has been in the marking guidelines. So how marks are actually allocated. So I'm thinking it might come from there, but again, I'm going to have to double check with our author exactly how that is made up.
Yeah, it's very technical ones are coming.
Very technical. Maybe we should just collate all of them and then send them the answers.
That is very important. How to penalize the section B deduction of marks accuracy and display both with section A? Yeah,
sorry. I think if we can correlate all of those questions, then I can go to the author so that we can answer those more technical ones.
Great. Patience, she says she may assist with the allocation of 400 marks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please unmute yourself and say.
Great. Patience, please unmute yourself and assist us with that allocation of 400 marks.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, we can hear you.
Morning, Patience.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm okay. Actually, the issue of the mark allocation for 400, it was verified, I think, about somewhere last month. We also had, a heart attack and a high blood when we saw this 400. And luckily enough, we got a quick feedback to say it was just an error, it was a mistake. Otherwise, nothing has changed. It is still 300. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patience. Thank you for that. I've seen Tokozani also responded to that it was just a typographical error. It should have been 300 marks. And I was trying to collect my memories. When Sharita was presenting on N5, she has also said that it is 300, not 400. So that makes sense now. Thank you, Tokozani and Patience. Colleagues, do we still have any questions? I'm checking. For now, we are still safe. We don't have any further questions.
For those questions for the author, if we can just put them in the, I can't see the chat box. If we can maybe just put them there and then we can respond to those.
Yeah, I think Stefan will assist us with that one, Yolandi.
Fantastic.
But colleagues, remember that in the beginning, Yolandi said that if you need a copy, please make sure that you inform us on the chat box. If you need a copy of your IP N5 and N6, including intro and N4, you are more than welcome to drop your information on the chat box. We will need your email address, your cell phone number, as well as the name of the institution that you are from, so that we can assign you to the correct sales rep. So if you omit the part of the institution, it's going to be difficult for us to locate you, but if you include it, it's going to be very easy for us. Anything from your side, Yolandi?
No, I think that's it. I just want to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. You definitely asked some really interesting questions, and I hope that the webinar was informative and that you have come away with some a greater understanding of the changes and what to expect on information processing in 5 and in 6. Remember, also we'll have some additional webinars over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, Yolandi, Patricia is asking, is Sharita not available to take questions?
Not at the moment. She's a lecturer, so she's lecturing today. But I think we'll definitely try and get her involved in subsequent ones.
Great. Right, thank you very much, colleagues. We really appreciate the time that you have made out of your busy schedule to dial into our virtual webinar today. And I trust that you have found the session to be very informative and valuable. And we would appreciate that whatever you need, please make sure that you consult us. I've seen in one of the second slide, last slide from Yolandi, there was information of all the Oxford sales rep. So please make use of that information to contact any of us so that we can be of help. And at this stage, let me take this opportunity to wish you well with your term 4 and also to wish you the best of luck in the preparations of your national examinations, preparing these students for their final examination session. And thank you very much. We really appreciate the time you have made, and all of the best. And thank you, and enjoy the rest of the day.